Well, what do we have here? You might think that's just an ordinary 70s Fender jazz bass, but you might be mistaken. We got something a bit more exotic here. Yeah, it's a Greco, not a Fender. Greco is one of those typical Japanese lawsuit companies, and yeah, they made Gibson and Fender copies, I guess, through the 70s and the 80s. And they were known for their bass copies. So yeah, this is kind of a 70s jazz bass copy, but with a way better quality, or with an equal quality to the Fender models of that time. It was produced in the Fujigen factory, which was known to be the host of many Japanese brands back then, including Ibanez, Tokai, Greco, Bernie, you name it. And Fujigen itself, it became its own brand later. Um, I think I go into some details of this Japanese lawsuit thing, like this. There's quite a story to that, and it's pretty interesting. And yeah, this one's actually in pretty alright condition, especially the neck and the headstock looks really cool. We got real block inlays. They're plastic, most likely, but they're not painted on like you would find on a Squire chess-based copies from the 2000s. Real binding. The, the whole layout is pretty classic. You got two volume, one tone, two chess-based style pickups, massive bridge. So nothing too crazy. And why is this thing called Spacy sound? Um, as far as I could research that, there were precision and chess-based copies made by Greco that had built-in effects, I think like phasers and flangers and things like that, to give the whole bass a spacey sound. Uh, this one does not. This one has just the traditional it's traditional electronics. Um, Beside that, classic open tuners, they're branded. That's a nice detail. The neck is in a really good condition. It's a single piece maple neck. It's kind of flat sawn, not quarter sawn, but this bass is over 40 years old, and it held up well, so it doesn't have to be quarter sawn. And it's hard to get that on camera, but if you look here in that area, it even got some light flaming to it. The fretboard and the neck is lacquered at like a typical Fender bass in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But you don't find that much playwear. I'm not sure if the neck is original, since you hardly can find any playwear, but it's probably also hard to get on camera. Um, you can see the lacquer on the fretboard here, and there's some slight discoloration. Um, it's a bit of like greenish, which is a corrosion residue from the frets. And that's under the lacquer. So I assume those are the original frets, and they've been on there for a long time. So whatever happened, it wasn't played that excessively. Um, Beside that, yeah, you got some wear marks and dings and nicks and things somewhere, but nothing structural, nothing crazy. So yeah, I would rather call it character than damage. So there's actually nothing really wrong with the bass. It's beautifully set up. The neck is straight, the action is low. everything works fine. But I noticed a slight scratch when you try to control the tone. I don't know if it comes through on camera, but you hear that? So we're gonna have a look at the tone part. I assume it just needs some cleaning. That's pretty much all. But what I also noticed is that the control plate is a bit loose because those three screws, they are stripped. But that's an easy fix. The other thing is this bass is in standard tuning now, and it's supposed to be tuned in drop C sharp. So a half step down and the low string another 2 half steps down, or a full step. This will result in a lower string tension on the instrument, and I anticipate that the neck will go into a slight back bow then, because yeah, there will be less tension on the neck, so we have to adjust the relief later. However, even though it's a 70s copy, it got the classic truss rod design of Fender basses of the 50s and 60s. You do not have an accessible truss rod from the headstock. So the access to the truss rod is somewhere down here. So yeah, it means we have to take the neck off to adjust the neck relief. But first we're going to take care of that. All right, we got full-size parts, so not like the penny parts that you find on cheaper instruments that were built later, that would come out of China or Indonesia or somewhere today. At first glance, I see all the solderings are fine. I think no one ever messed with the parts or with the electronics. Yeah, so I'm gonna try some contact cleaner on the part and see if that changes anything. Bit of wiggle back and forth. I'm gonna do it on all the parts anyway. Also going to use a Q-tip on the jack. Ooh. Does it focus? Nah, but you get it. I don't know the exact date of build of this instrument. They're hard to determine. You cannot read it from the serial number, but those basses, as far as I know, were built between 78 and 82. So this is definitely, I'd safe to say that it's 45 years old. Okay, it got a bit better, but you still hear some scratching. Okay. Seems like the part is a bit damaged, but it functions and I could live with that. All right, it just needed even more cleaning. So that works fine. Yeah, fixed. Awesome. Next thing is to plug those holes. As I said, the screw holes are stripped. They're a bit too large for a single toothpick. So I think what we're gonna do is to drill out the hole, make it a little bit bigger, and then put 3 toothpicks inside, like this. So I prepared some Tide Bond wood glue here. Okay, I used the time to tune on the bass to drop C sharp already, because it will need some time to settle. And the glue is dry and hard enough so we can pare it down a little bit. I prefer to use the widest chisel I have, because it will give you more stability and guidance. Okay. We mark the center of the holes for drilling. Okay, we're gonna unscrew them again, and then we're gonna pour in some super thin super glue to harden the edges and make the screw holes more durable for future work. All right, the control plate is back in. The screws are fine, and as I said before, I'm gonna let the neck settle with the low string tension now. But we can use the time and apply a little bit of polish just on the front. Give it a bit of a clean. All right. As expected, the neck developed a considerable back bow with the now lower string tension. So yeah, I think we have to loosen the neck or even take it off the body to fix that. There is a method where you can adjust the truss rod from that side with completely taking off the neck. So I loosened the strings as much as I could without taking them off. And there's a good chance that we just loosen those two screws and take those two out, and then we can tilt it backwards and see if we can reach the truss rod from here. And yeah, we got access to the truss rod. Now let's see if it still works. That feels tight. Okay. So we're all done and set up now. I had to take out the neck twice, but now we have a proper relief for the low E string to oscillate freely. Also put on some Shala secure locks for the strap and added a Japanese style strap for a Japanese bass. I think that's a nice fit. Also took a light sanding on the back of the neck with these sanding sponges to make it a little bit smoother. You can't really see it, but you feel the difference. It's a bit more silky now, not so glossy anymore, not so sticky, plays great. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna try to do a little sound demo through my micro amp back here. It won't sound great, but it gets the job done.